We're here in Los Angeles with some ModPo friends, and we're talking about the most open-ended poem in the course so far. It's called The Rose is Obsolete. It's actually an unnamed poem that appeared in the great book Spring and All of 1923 by William Carlos Williams. And so here we are. So I want to ask Gene first. What does he mean by the rose is obsolete? What do you think, Gene?
Well, the rose is a symbol. It's been passed on for centuries, and it's used up. It's outlived its usefulness.
And what tone is that? Like, he's not saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that the rose is obsolete. I'm going to miss it." What's he saying?
He's saying, the way I see it is, he's saying, let's face facts.
Yeah.
We can't use this anymore.
Yeah.
We have to use something else.
Yeah. James, say a little more about the rose is obsolete. Are you happy the rose is obsolete?
I mean, it was a nice image, right?
It was good while it lasted.
It was good while it lasted, but it's gone now. You can't go back.
So the rose, Joy, the rose is associated with love. Can you just say the obvious? How over the centuries has rose been associated with love?
It's been
And why?
an example of romantic love that lover gives to his beloved.
Yeah. Is that innate? Did roses get created and immediately human beings associated with love?
I don't know, but somehow, maybe he's talking about the fact that roses became so commercialized, they became this symbol that everyone bought into, at least for a long time, that the rose is the symbol of love.
So if roses no longer are associated with love as a symbol, if the symbol is worn out, then what do roses mean?
They're just a flower now.
They're just a flower. Do you think that Williams wants the rose to be associated with love again? Paige?
Well, maybe in a new way.
So what kind of rose is he making?
He's making a rose that is dangerous, that has cutting edges and that slices things.
So this is not a poem of
Softness,
edges.
no.
There's no softness here. What about the line endings? This is a poem whose line endings are persistently open-ended. Something weird about that, isn't it?
It is, especially because he uses the word edge so often. He really is looking at that edge space, but he doesn't make sharp edges at his line break, so.
So Bob, when Williams says the rose carried, past tense, carried weight of love, but love is at an end of roses, see if you can start us off on a close reading of those two lines.
Yeah, where is the carried weight?
The rose carried weight of love, but love is at an end of roses. Don't try to do the whole thing, but get us started on a close reading of those two lines. What does he mean by the rose carried weight of love?
Well, the rose represented love in many
Past.
in the past, right? And
Why do we say carried weight?
yeah, it was important. Yeah,
Keep going though, more. That idiom has a connotation.
He's responsible for?
Responsible for it. If you're the one person in your office that carries the weight.
the weight is on the shoulders of the rose.
So it was a burden, Rona. Yes, the rose carried weight of love. So now let's paraphrase it again. So, Mary, if you don't mind, paraphrase that line again with the benefit of our reading of the idiom of it, like it bore responsibility. So the rose did what in those years?
Well,
Listen loudly.
besides the
Carried weight of love. Why a burden? I thought roses were just easeful about their roseness, and their symbolism of love. Why would you ever say that it was hard and burdensome for a rose to do its work?
Because love is so enormous and challenging. I mean, for one
It is
little
enormous.
symbol.
So, are you suggesting that Williams is concluding as a modernist that love is too great a weight for a symbol to bear, that the symbol has fallen apart under that weight? Sort of a leading question.
Sort of.
Let's go over to Laura. So the rose carried weight of love, but love is at an end. dash of roses. So let's try to work that second line into our close reading.
Well, you can either say love is at an end, or you can literally say that love is at the end of a rose petal.
All right, good. So let's put our finger, I'm going to use my pinky, to cover of roses. And now let's read the line, interpret the line without it. The rose carried weight of love, but love is at an end. So what would you say that means?
Maybe that the symbol of, that goes back to the rose being obsolete, that even that romantic Victorian high-flowered love is at an end. It's done.
So Jana, is it true? Can we say that love is at an end? Is William saying that love is at an end?
Maybe he's saying that love is done with roses.
Yeah, I think
He's
he is
ending.
saying that, but he's saying love is at an end. If we put our finger over roses, he's saying love is at an end, meaning there's no more love anymore. There's a risk. If we lose our symbols, we might lose the thing the symbols represented. Okay, Janet, take your finger off, and now the rose carried weight of love, but love is at an end of roses. That's weird.
Yeah,
Laura
he's
will
saying.
help you if you want. I think you can do it.
I think you can.
I think I can do this. Okay. So love, yes, love is at an end of roses. Love doesn't need roses anymore. Love doesn't need the symbols anymore for it to still.
Circular statement of some kind. James and Laura, can we do it?
That the love of roses is at an end. If you turn that around, the love that the rose represents is no more. That concept of love.
And a more literal reading of roses being described precisely and exactly and sharply and metallically in this poem. If you do a closer literal reading, love is at an end of roses, Laura.
It's literally at the end of a rose petal. It says it's the edge of the petal that love awaits.
And what kind of love is at the edge of a metallic rose, a non-natural rose? Sharp. A new love.
Modern love.
Modern love. I think, Joy, if you were required to give an SAT answer, a two-word answer, what is this poem about? You might want to say modern love. So now it's incumbent upon us to describe modern love as William seems to be promulgating it in this poem. Gene, take a shot, and then Rona.
Well, I just wanted to, I was kind of bursting with this, that when he says love, it's at the edge of the petal that love waits. In other words, we started off by saying the rose is obsolete. But actually, it turns out that the rose is just barely off stage. It's at the edge. It's not, we can't really kill it, but we can redefine it.
And we can only redefine it through making it new, through making language new. Because however instinctive we think love is, when love comes out of the enzymes and chemical processes that are in the brain, what we call the heart, right? Once it emerges out into that, it is constructed, it is social, it is made, and it is made through representation and through language. And this poem is saying that. So it says, it ends, the rose is obsolete, it ends. But if it ends, the start is begun. And James was saying something, I want to go to Rona in a second, but James was saying something along those lines. I want to go back to James. It ends, dash. But if it ends, the start is begun, so that to engage roses becomes a geometry. James?
Well, yeah, that by killing this image, you make a space for something new to
And
arise.
that something new is like geometry, which you now are responsible for explaining, because I'm not going to.
Well, it's crisp. It works to defeat laboredness. It's fragile, plucked, moist, half raised, cold. I mean, he gives a list of descriptions, and then he sort of almost fails to encompass it all. Then he says, what? Like, he hasn't got it all there, but he's building it in front of us. He's building the geometry in front of us in the poem.
So I'm going to stay on you, James. I'll read the relevant line, and you respond. Crisp, worked to defeat laboredness. Fragile, this is all descriptions, right? Fragile, plucked, moist, half raised, cold, precise, touching. What? Now, I want you to do a close reading of what. You can't do it sometimes.
I mean, what is that open-endedness of the poem? Like, what is the poem, right? It's the process.
What has become how?
Yeah.
Everybody got that? Page? What?
What's on the other side of the edge? We have to go to the edge and beyond. And what is whatever is there after the edge?
So what is the what? But it is not specifying what is. What is what is? What is what you're left with when you feel love originally and not constructed by the symbols handed down through FTD and Valentine, the makers of Valentine's Day, and the rest of the industrialization and commercialization and commodification of love. This is modern love, and he has an optimistic view of modern love, that modern love will be new, and modern love will be the love about which you say to your lover, what? What is it that is between us? It is this. It is what? Do you love me? What? What is love? What is love? Is not a rose, but is what? What is love is what? Wow, I want to thank all you guys. This was great. I mean, I have no idea what we said, but it sure was fantastic. And LA is a great place for my
Two things quick.